Tommy Greene, NBC Philadelphia pre- and post-game, covers the Phils. He was a member of those 93 Phillies. And, Tommy, I wonder what you would have done if somebody walked out to the mound after 68 pitches in a shutout, how you would have handled that yesterday.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, it shocked me a little bit. I know it's just a different time, I guess, the way I'm looking at it, the way the thinking is, the new age of analytics and what they're trying to do with guys, trying to protect guys a little bit. But the way I come up was you leave spring training geared up to throw 100 pitches, and he was sort of cruising the way he was doing. Yeah, he had a man on second facing Freddie Freeman, but we were up 5-0. Why not let him get through the sixth? And and if he wanted to use a reliever after that, so what? But I mean, that sort of shocked me a little bit.
I guess the biggest question I would have too is, why would he let him hit in the sixth, in the top half of the sixth, if he was going to pull him in the bottom half of the sixth?
Well, I mean, I don't know. With the way the season's working out so far, for the scheduling of it, having off days and stuff like that, they're geared up with the bullpen. Where basically they got 4 starters and 9 relievers down there ready to use, and they were ready to play matchup ball in the 6th inning, and and they kind of bit them. To me, I'm riding. I mean, their horse is out there. That he's pitching opening day for a reason. He's a guy. They're a guy they're counting on to do well. And I'd love to see him go 85, 90 pitches if that was the case. I think he's geared up to go that. He should be leaving spring training. But ultimately it's Kapler's decision to do, and I think it come up and bit him a little bit. He had his reasons for doing it. But ultimately, the guys that come in after him has got to make pitches and not walk guys and make them earn it, so to speak.
Tommy, what's the message to Aaron Nola there, though? Because you pull him out, but aren't you, by doing that, showing him that you have more confidence in Hobie Milner than him at that point?
Well, you can look at it all the different ways you want, and it's just, that was my thing a little bit was, let the guys go. Let them get out the inning. So what if he ends up giving up a run or two? Still, they're up 5-2 like they were anyway. Let them get out. They let the relievers come in to start the inning, and whatever happens. If he throws 20 pitches in that inning, gets up to 80, 85, or whatever pitches, then get him out of there. I could see them wanting him to end on a good note with a good taste in his mouth and have a decent outing. But throwing 68 pitches as a starter. That's tough for me to swallow because I'm geared up to go 9 or close to it coming out of spring training anyway. Your pitch count wise, Nola's been notorious for not. He's economical in pitches for the most part. He seems like he always got a low pitch count because he pounds the strike zone. He gets some ground balls and stuff like that, and he gets a lot of swing and misses of that breaking ball. So he's notorious for getting those quick outs and low pitch counts early in ball games, and I think that's conducive to letting him run out to 7 innings, or if he possibly can and more. So it's just the new age of thinking. I think trying to I don't know if they're trying to save guys, trying to they're carrying more guys in the bullpens, and they're willing to match up a little earlier. So
new age of thinking. Tommy Greene's with us. So when Kapler came out to take him out, you could tell that Nola wasn't pleased about it, but it didn't look like they had a long conversation. You could see him on the bench as Hobie Milner gave up the home run that he wasn't pleased about it. But after the game, when he was asked if he and Kapler had spoken, they had. However, today Kapler did talk to him. Is that a problem for you that there's not communication between him? Or, was Fregosi saying much to you when he pulled you out?
No, here's what Fagosi's rule was, and this is the way it should be. It needs to be made clear and foremost, and Fagosi made it clear right off the bat. He says, when I come out there, I'm coming for one thing, is the ball. So I don't want to hear no ifs, ands, or buts. My minds are made up. So, the pitching coach come out there to talk to you if anything was going on, and, you knew you were safe a little bit. You were going to get you at least get it. But when Fagosi left the dugout, you were gone. And then there was somebody coming in. And we knew that. So you could try to talk yourself out of it or not. It wasn't going to happen. He said there was no use. So you weren't doing it yourself, but getting yourself in deeper trouble. So
Tommy, also the message that it sent the Braves, too. We're sitting there asking what message did it send Nola, because I know Freddie Freeman after the game was like, yeah, we saw that. We thought, great, they're getting out the guy that we couldn't
Yeah, he admitted that gave them a little bit of a jolt. They felt like essentially Nola had their number, and they were like, thank God they got this guy out of here.
Well, sometimes that's the way it works. I mean, and that's the question. Y'all asked the question right off the bat to me. Is this? Yeah, it shocked me because he was doing so well and he was pitching well against their big guys in the lineup, and you know, in trying to make the matchup call and play the matchup game earlier in their ball game now, because you do have the arms in the bullpen, so to speak. You know, it's just the way things seem to be going. You know, you got a couple of the managers that are still around. You know, I was watching the game last night. It was a great game. Not watching, but I saw the replay of it a little bit this morning. You know, it was the Indians ball game with Kluber and them guys in Seattle matching up, and you got two of the big dogs pitching in the league, and even the Seattle's main guy, and he went like 5 1/3, but Kluber, he went 8 last night. I mean, and you're geared up to go, and he didn't throw that many pitches. I was thinking Nola, I saw his pitch count, and he come out there, and I said he had a man on second base. I said, why isn't he letting him finish this inning? So why does Freddie Freeman's up to bat? You know, he's had pretty good success against him today. He's pitching him well, so why not let him go at him? So, but that's why the managers are manage. He's a manager, you know, so that's why he's out there. He's making no decisions, and he's probably taking some heat for that decision yesterday. So.
And, Tommy, that wasn't the only one. That he lifts Rhys Hoskins out and puts Nick Williams in for defensive replacement. And, of course, Hoskins' bat would have come around. There was a multitude. Were there any other things that bothered you about the way Gabe Kapler managed the game yesterday?
Well, I mean, just to sign maybe just a little bit. The first day, I mean, everybody's excited. You're thinking you want to do everything right. We had our opportunities to win that ball game. We're up 5-0. It still comes down to making pitches and doing things. But you know, do you get caught up in maybe over managing or trying to overdo? We all do. Trying to make the move that we think is going to be, you know, right. He's putting more defense out there later in the ball game, trying to do the right thing, you know, and then maybe you know, everybody can question that, and it can come back to bite you a little bit. He's putting more speed in the outfield to be able to play defense, and I can see that, trying to do that. But I mean, still, we got to do a better job at you know, at getting it done with a 5-run lead.
Yeah, Tommy Greene's our guest here on the Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. And you said it a couple times, 68 pitches, and you wonder if that's the way he's going to manage, basically saying, look, you're going to get to a number and I'm just going to pull you. Are you concerned about the way baseball's going, that they're not letting these guys, especially the top of the rotation guys, go out there and win their games and pitch their games?
Well, I mean, we can look at. I mean, to me, it's all about, you know, what kind of innings are these guys having. You know, like Nola, you know, to me, he wasn't having stressful innings. He would, so to speak, or laboring in any type of thing. And the thing I didn't get a chance to see over the course of the spring, I didn't get a chance to see these guys. I went down there watching them and can see every ball game and see how they're getting their counts up. What did they get up in their pitch count? Were they able to go past 80 pitches? I don't know. I wasn't down there, but I know by the way we were trained and what we did, I know that at least the last couple outings that I pitched in,
yeah,
I was during the spring. I threw over 100. I threw 100 pitches or more.
Well, right,
so
Tommy, because he threw.
I was geared up to go.
I think he threw his last spring game. I think he went 4 innings, and I think that's the most that many of these starters went. I mean, you can maybe make a case that wasn't enough, right, to be prepared for the start of the season.
Well, I mean, I know it's not necessarily the 4 innings. I can see the last outing maybe trying to, you know, to keep them sharp, not overdo them. But I know that one or so outing before then, that pitch count has got to get up to where they can go 100 pitches, you know, or around that 95 to 100. I mean, that way they're geared the next time possibly to go, you know, 110. You know,
yeah.
So then you're looking at what kind of. I mean, so what if you're throwing 110 pitches? Were they labor intensive? Were they high stressful situations where you got runners on base all the time? And you know, some guys look free and easy throwing. Some guys are high effort guys. You can tell those guys, and that's just the style of pitcher that he is. You got Pavetta's a different style than Nola is. And that's going to be the key to Pavetta is to pound the zone and not have a big stressful inning like he normally has, which knocks him out around the fifth inning every time. That was his thing last year that cost him a ton. Because he'd be dealing for 4 innings and get knocked out the fifth and give up 4 or 5 runs.
What do you think the reaction would have been from Jake Arrieta if Gabe Kapler came to take him out with 68 pitches?
I'll tell you what, man.
There might have been a fist fight on the mound.
Well, it's got to be, but that guy's got to know that he's his manager, and you might be who you are out there, but that guy, Pavetta ain't got a year in the big leagues yet, and he hasn't put up the numbers to be able to talk and say nothing. You got to prove to me you can deserve to do. So, that's just me. I'm old school. I'm old school that way. Sometimes the best shirt we ever had made, that Kruk and the boys had made, was "Shut up and play. We don't need to hear you."
No.
So.
Tommy, he didn't ask about Pavetta. He said Arrieta. If Arrieta was on, he looks like a psycho killer. Like he would have probably ripped the guy's head off.
I don't think you probably would have went out there. It's just like the crew. You got to know who you got out there on the mound. Kapler is he's a younger manager, but and he's not too far off from being in his playing days. So he knows who, so to speak, the veteran leader and what kind of veteran guys out there on the mound and what needs to be done. We all want to take care of our young guys if we can. We want to lead those guys with a good taste in their mouth. That's what Ferguson tried to do.
Yeah.
He tried to give us a chance to complete a ball game if we could, but he wasn't. It all depended on the situation. He said, "Hey, you go out there in the 9th inning. If the first guy gets on, you're going. I'm not putting you in a situation to lose this ball game. You pitch too well to lose it."
Yeah.
And that's what he tried. And I can understand that.
I would have loved to have seen. I would have loved to have seen if Kapler was managing that '93 team and him walk out there to you or Schilling or Danny Jackson and said, "Give me that ball with 68 pitches while you're throwing a shutout."
Well, I'll tell you what, Danny Jackson would have killed him.
I don't doubt it.
Danny Jackson would have killed him.
That's awesome. Tommy Greene.
I was still young back then, so
yeah.
Danny
Well,
would have killed him.
Danny probably would have killed him. You're right, and it's a different time. There's no question. These guys don't go. That's the thing, Tommy. They don't go off the gut. They don't go off the field. It's not that intuition. It's just what it says on the piece of paper.
Well, and people ask me a lot of these questions, I think, and the way I look at it, life changes, different time changes. We have new inventions. We've got things that help us. The analytics of baseball, the numbers are good things. I think you can take the technology that we have today and use it to your benefit. You got to be willing to accept it. But the bottom line, it comes down to coaching and stuff like that, is knowing your guy you got out there on the field, the guy you're coaching, and know what makes them tick. The information is not going to do those guys any good if they don't know if all that information locks them up and they can't perform because it's too much for them. It's too much thinking involved. They need to go out there and react and play the ball game. So, that was me in a nutshell. I didn't need to get paralysis by analysis type thing. I needed to do what I did well.
Tommy Greene, 93 Phillies, NBC Philadelphia pre- and post-game analyst. You'll see him during the Phillies broadcast this season, and we appreciate his insight here on the Sports Bash on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Thank you so much, Tommy.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.